it's Sid from TVH Studying, and today I'll be answering some questions that were asked on my Instagram page. I realized that college decisions are out, and as a current college student, I might have answers to your burning questions. And in advance, my cat does have the zoomies, so you might hear a lot of jingling, a lot of scratching in the background, but without any further ado, let's jump right into the questions. Before I dive into the questions, I do have several videos up already specifically pertaining to Swarthmore College and other sort of questions that are more like College Basics 101, so I'll link all the videos down below if you're interested in watching them. But for now, let us go through the questions. This first question asks, how has college affected your mental health? I think this is a really interesting question because I think it varies depending on person by person and like case by case basis. But for me personally, I think college didn't cause any like mental health struggles, but rather it highlighted some of the inadequacies in the coping strategies that I used to handle stress and stressful situations. And because I was on my own and I had to be a lot more independent than I was in high school, I was forced to really reckon with my coping strategies and how to best take care of myself. So in a way, college made it seem on the surface that my mental health got worse, but it also forced me to learn how to solve those problems. So in a way, it helped me improve my mental health as well. Does Swarthmore have an honors program, and if so, is it worth it? So Swarthmore does have an honors program, and usually you have to take a couple more classes, and at the end of your senior year you have to submit your thesis or whatever you're working on to an outside examiner, and then you have to do additional exams and oral exams to earn your honors degree. I personally feel like honors majors are not really worth it because it doesn't really mean anything outside of the setting of the college that you're in. For example, the honors at Swarthmore could mean a totally different thing than an honors at like Harvard, and honors at University of Washington State, or like honors at University of Chicago. It really means something different depending on the school you went to, and in most cases your future employer or your future like grad school or whatever isn't really gonna care all that much. So for me personally and my personal like academic and career goals, I don't find the honors program to be a useful thing for me. So instead of doing the honors program, I chose to double major in subjects that I really care about, which are biology and medical anthropology. How do you do laundry? So this is a really funny question because I remember stressing a lot about how am I gonna do laundry? How am I gonna wash my dishes? How am I gonna like exist as a general college student? And this is a totally valid question. So for my college specifically, every single dorm has a laundry room with 3 washers and 3 dryers. So I just haul all my laundry down to the laundry room, I put in my Tide Pod and I time it, and I go through all the steps and process of like doing the laundry. I will say though, one thing you have to be really sure of is to make sure you have time set aside in your day to do laundry, because you have to get down there the minute your laundry is done. Otherwise, other people might come in and take your laundry out to put their own laundry in. I've never had issues with people stealing my laundry at my school, but I've definitely had issues of people taking my laundry out on top of the washer or the dryer, and then some of my laundry falls behind the washer and dryer, and then it's just like lost forever to the infinite void between the wall and the dryers. You know what I mean? Is it hard to make friends besides your roommates? No, I don't think it is, but I think something different than high school is that you have to push yourself to make friends. Like you have to actually take initiative in forming friendships, cultivating friendships, and making sure these friendships last. And as long as you continue to like be the one to text first, be the one to be proactive about contacting people, texting people, and having conversations with people, it's totally easy to make friends outside of your roommate or the people that live in your dorm or whoever resides within like the general vicinity of where you are. Because for me personally, I found that a lot of my high school friends were generated purely by the classes we took. A lot of the same people were in my classes. Like we would be in the same homeroom, we would all be in the same like math class, or we would all be in the same English class. And because I consistently saw these people every single day of every single like weekday, it was really easy to make and maintain friendships. But in college, because like all of us take different classes, and if you go to a larger school, you might not even like run into each other that often. So as long as you put in the effort to make and create friendships, it'll be fine. So these 3 questions are kind of similar to each other. So the first question is, how did you know which college was right for you? Why did you commit to Swarthmore? And what do you like best about Swarthmore? When I was applying for college, I basically had a couple of main criteria. I wanted it to be a small college, I wanted it to be a liberal arts college, and I wanted it to be somewhere like far away from home. First, I wanted a small college because I'm kind of an introvert and I prefer more like intimate, small gatherings of people, and I think I would get really overwhelmed in a large crowd at a large university like UCLA or my state school at UW. Second, I wanted a liberal arts college because my interests are pretty interdisciplinary. I'm interested in things like biology, biochemistry, as well as anthropology, literature, and history, which are all like fairly interdisciplinary. It's kind of hard to find like one major that includes all of these different aspects of academia that I love so much. So I wanted a liberal arts college so I could get a liberal arts education with a lot of interdisciplinary work in it. And third, I wanted it to be somewhere far away, so I didn't want to go to some place like Reed. Even though it's like a great small liberal arts college, it was just a little too close to home, so I wanted to experience somewhere far away. As for the reasons why I committed to Swarthmore, first off, I like that Swarthmore had a good location. Other liberal arts colleges like Williams and Amherst were like kind of in the middle of nowhere, if you know what I mean. So I like that the airport and that Philadelphia was only like 20 minutes away, and I like that there was like a train directly on campus that I could take to get into the inner city. Second, I like that the college was genuinely beautiful. Like, the college is located in Scarp Arboretum. It is on Lenni Lenape land. The very environment and the very like soil of the land that I currently live on is so steeped in so much history and culture, and the people at the Arboretum are always really happy to share stories about the Arboretum and about all the plants that are here. And there's also classes that I've taken on indigenous knowledge and about Lenni Lenape culture that I've really appreciated. So the second reason was more to do about the general environment, the look of the school, the vibe of the school. The third reason is that they offered me really good financial aid. Funnily enough, the things I like best about Swarthmore are completely like different than the reasons why I ultimately chose to commit to Swarthmore. Something that I love about Swarthmore is that everyone on this campus is legitimately so weird, and I mean this in the best way possible. Everyone on Swarthmore campus really has a genuine passion about what they're learning, about what they're interested in, and they're all like quirky in an interesting way. They all have like really interesting niche hobbies. Like the other day I was literally talking about like electric guitars and like the intricacies of having like different pedals, different amps, like the techniques you use to produce music with an electric guitar versus like a regular guitar with someone across the hall. And then I also talked about someone's like passion project about building like economically stable and environmentally friendly buildings and like urban planning. So there's such a wide range of interests and such a wide range of like people, and we're all like very similar in terms of like being nerdy introverts with niche interests, if that makes any sense. I also love the professors here. I think in another video about Swarthmore, I mentioned that another reason why I chose Swarthmore and other liberal arts colleges was because of like the small class sizes and the possibility of forming close relationships with my professors. And I think truly like some of the professors that I formed like close like mentor-mentee relationships with have been so instrumental in forming like who I am as a person right now, what my morals and ethics are, where I stand politically, where I stand like ethically, what I want to do with my life after college. They've helped so much in developing myself and figuring out what I want to do after college. And finally, I think for liberal arts colleges in general have really helped me refine my understanding of like social justice, what I stand for and where I stand politically. So that is largely due in part to my Swarthmore education. I genuinely don't think I would have had like as much nuance on the topics that I care about had I not taken very specific classes here and engaged with very specific students and very specific professors and alumni who have challenged the way that I used to think. And I'm sure you can get this in other universities as well. Like, it's not like political science or like environmental justice or things like that is a unique department only for Swarthmore. I just feel like because of the small class sizes, because of the specific student body that we have, and because of the professors that I speak with, like, that has contributed so much to like how I conceptualize the world today and what I plan to do after college. So that was a long-winded explanation, but to summarize, I like the student body, I like the professors, I like small class sizes, and I like the education I've gotten here. Now, this isn't a question that someone has asked, but I think it's important to also address what I don't like about Swarthmore, because I just don't want to like blindly praise the school. I definitely think that there are some issues with Swarthmore in general that aren't addressed as much. I think the first thing to understand is that Swarthmore College as an institution is not necessarily there to help you, if that makes any sense. The faculty loves to help. The faculty often cares a lot about important political issues and changes within the college, but any change that happens within this college moves very slowly, moves at such an incremental level, and administration is slow to push out changes, slow to respond, and in general, I think this applies to any college and any administration of any institution, but that is something to consider. Swarthmore College as an institution is not doing blind charity work. It is an institution with $1 billion endowment who invests in things that still support apartheid today and prioritizes making profits and increasing surplus value. And that's just the truth of Swarthmore College as an institution, as goes for any college, any institution, any company, etc, etc, etc. Swarthmore recently abolished like their Greek life, so we no longer have any fraternities, and we never had sororities to begin with, but something that I disagree with is the way that Swarthmore College is currently handling parties, alcohol, and I think, in my personal opinion, they're handling partying and like typical college behavior in a way that encourages unsafe ways to get around the rules and put students in more danger. So now students are less likely to call in if someone has alcohol poisoning, and the repercussions seem a lot more severe than they used to be in the past. There's a lot more restrictions about what buildings we can go into versus when we can get into them. The dorms are no longer accessible for every single student. You're only allowed to go inside your dorm and no other dorm, which makes like general like student life harder than it should be. So I think there's been a lot of implemented changes by the Office of Student Engagement that don't necessarily align with what students want from the Office of Student Engagement. I also don't know anything about RAs, but I've definitely noticed that a lot more RAs have been quitting their jobs or getting fired, and now we have a deficit of RAs. So I don't really care about RAs, like I'm not involved within that hemisphere at all, but I have noticed that there are a lot more RAs that are quitting their jobs and voicing complaints about administration, but I can't verify this. I'm not an RA, that's just what I've heard from the grapevine. I also think that the housing office is very slow and inefficient, especially if students need like accommodations or need to switch rooms due to like a dangerous situation or like problems on their dorm floor, if they have safety issues. So I just feel like the housing office has been slow in that regard. And I think that by extension, certain departments on campus are slow to adopt changes and adopt measures that will improve and foster diversity and engagement within their classes. Are there any nursing / pre-med classes that you would recommend? I think my recommendations will be very Swarthmore specific, but in general, I feel like any class about healthcare inequities, racial diversity, medical anthropology, environmental justice, social justice, these classes are really important in instilling in you just a better sense of where we are socially within the healthcare industry. I feel like the basic sciences you will learn at any point in your life, and they're quite easy to learn depending on what institution you are. Like every biology course will teach you the same basic things about genetics. The core facts of genetics will not change, but the more you learn about how genetics was developed, like situations like Henrietta Lacks, like how we handle these social issues within medicine, is very, very important for any pre-med, any like nursing, and just anyone aspiring to work in the healthcare field. So that's what I would recommend. Totally not biased as a medical anthropologist. Totally not biased. Is it better to do lots of extracurriculars or only a few? Love your videos, by the way. Oh, thank you. Just to preface this, I'm not part of an admissions committee, but for me personally, I think it's better to really invest deeply into the passions that you have rather than to just do a little snippet of every single thing that you could possibly have. Like, it is more telling that you're spending like 3 or 4 years doing, like, participating in this dance program that you really care about, or that you've spent like 6 years really focusing on doing a lot of theater or a lot of newspaper writing or participating in a jazz club, because having that long-term time and investment within the few activities you genuinely care about showcases your passions, your talents, and your commitment as a student, as a person, etc., etc. And also, I just think it's easier and more fun to spend a lot of time doing the things that you genuinely love instead of wasting a lot of time trying to do everything at once but not doing a very good job of doing everything at once, if that makes sense. I think I will end the questions there. I've been filming for like an hour and a half, so we shall see how the editing process goes. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and for any prospective student out there, please don't stress too much. Like, don't get lost in the sauce trying to research like whatever school you want to commit to. Worst comes to worst, you could always transfer, and have faith in yourself, trust in your gut. So thank you so much for watching. As always, I have a Patreon. I'll link it down below if you want to continue supporting me. And yeah, until then, I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye!